Don't have a castable sonar? Good, because today I'm going to show you how to find bass in pressured public ponds without it. Getting it done all day long, son. Biggins after biggins. No electronics, no guessing, just understanding what's actually under the water so every cast is with purpose. A lot of anglers think you need electronics, and you actually don't. I've been doing this for over 35 years, and I can tell you, you can break down a pond, any high pressured public pond, by paying attention. Most anglers aren't struggling because they don't have a castable sonar. They're struggling because they don't know what to look for when you go to these high pressured public ponds. And we're just gonna get it done today, yes sir. We're just gonna break it down. As we go through this video, remember this. Your rod and your brain are your sonar. I'm gonna say it again. Your rod and your brain are the sonar. Here's the first thing that people miss. What you see above the water tells you what's below the water. And this is key. This is what I always say. You just don't go out, pull out your gear and start casting. Walk around the pond the first time you go to the pond so you can fully understand what's underneath the water. When we're looking at a pond, we want to look at the shoreline. What's above the water is underneath the water. If you have a hill and it's coming down and it starts to go into the pond, that's going to continue all the way through the pond. If you have a flat section, most likely that flat section, when it continues in the pond, is going to be flat and then it kind of goes down. Steep banks equals deep water. Gradual banks equals shallow water. Again, pay attention to the contour of the land that you're fishing. Will tell you a lot about how that pond is built. Points are extended under the water. Corners are natural ambush spots. When you're looking at coves and corners, that's a great place to fish. Those are typically more on the shallow side. They dig it out, push it out, and then eventually it drops down into an edge. I could tell you an example. I fish a pond that comes off of a hillside. It kind of goes down, and there's just a little walkway. That extends. I know it extends. It extends. When you're at a pond, it's a straight drop off. Bass are always there. So I know if I'm looking for those deep edges, I'm going to be fishing the one side of the pond. If I'm looking for those bass to spawn, I'm going to be looking for those flats. Again, it's so important to read the land around a pond. That's going to tell you if you have drop-offs or flats. If you could read a bank, you could read a pond. That's the key to it. Walk around, understand the bank. It's an extension of what's underneath the water. Bass just don't sit anywhere. They always relate to something. Bass sit on edges. We're always looking for edges when we fish in these high-pressured public ponds. That is the key. Most people are just going out casting. Now you're becoming a master of the pond by looking for these things. Edges. Bass are going to be on those edges. Biggins, son, yes sir. Getting it done all day long. We're looking for grass lines. Open water. You have a grass line. A lot of times I love to go in right after winter because the water's kind of clear and I could see more. When I could see more, I could kind of see even the dead patches of grass. I fish a lot of hydrilla. I see like dead patches of grass. I'm like, huh, okay. I know when that hydrilla grows, that's where it's going to grow. And I can kind of start to see edges of it. I can see pockets. Keep that in the back of my mind. I don't need a sonar, right? I'm reading the pond. I'm reading what's in the pond. I'm finding those grass lines. Mud, rock. Again, if I have rock on the shore, most likely going to have rock in the pond in that area. Rocks warm up quicker. So I know if I'm going cold into warmer water, those bass are going to be there. In the fall, bass are going to be there because it's going to be warmer before wintertime. That's what they're going to relate to. Shallow to deep. Again, we're looking for those edges coming off. We're reading the bank. They come down. It's a great spot. Those flats, sometimes those flats will drop down. It goes into the deeper water. I'm looking for that edge. Shade and sun. I'm always looking for where is the shade at all times of the day. Morning. Do I have shade in the afternoon? Do I have shade in the evening? Wherever I have shade at, if I have shade in the morning, I'm going to hit that spot. If I have shade in the evening, I'm going to hit those spots. Edges are highways for bass. Remember that. Edges are highways for bass. This is the gold This is the absolute gold of this video, is your lure is your sonar. Your brain and your rod are your sonar. Pay attention. Count your bait down. A ½ ounce will fall about a second per foot. Cast it out there and start counting it down. Watch my line on the water. No more no more lines coming off. Okay, I count it down. 8 foot, 7 foot, 15 feet. I highly recommend a ½ ounce because it's a foot per second. Feel for ticks, which are rocks. Mushy means mud. Resistance is some type of vegetation. Notice the depth changes. Every cast is giving you information. Most anglers ignore it. When you start to pay attention to your lure and what it hits, what it touches, how deep it is, you can start to piece that together in your mind. You can start to get a picture of what's underneath the water. I have cattails. I have the cattails. A lot of times you'll get cattails that are pushed out 10, 15 feet. They just don't grow. They're underneath the water. Especially early spring. That's a great ambush spot. They're pushed off that bank. They're deep, and they're related to that because it's a great ambush spot. When I'm using a bladed swim jig and I hit it, and I'm 15 feet off and I hit it, I'm like, all right, now I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind. When things get tough in these high pressure public ponds, those are the little things that when you notice, when you're paying attention to your lure, that's gonna make a difference. If I know I have some stick-ups that are 20 feet off bank and you can't see it, I'm gonna run a bait across that and I'm gonna try to hit my bait against that. And I'm looking for that reactionary bite. They're finicky, but you can get bass to hit on reactionary bites in these public pressured ponds. I'm gonna say it again. You can catch a lot of bass on reactionary bites by knowing what's underneath the water. Grass lines, grass. I talk about it all the time. A swim jig, a bladed swim jig, a jig. You hit that edge of that grass line, just let it sit there, and just rip it out. You're gonna catch bass, because that's a reactionary bite. It's just gonna get it done. I guarantee you're gonna be catching biggins, son, all day. That is my favorite way to figure out a pond. You know, again, I cast it out deep, I count it down, and my next cast, I'm gonna go over, I'm gonna count it down, go over, count it down. Now I know how deep it is. My next cast, I'm gonna go the same progressions I just went through, but I'm not gonna make as far of a cast. So I just went out there, let's say I went out 50 feet. My next cast, I'm gonna try to go out 30 feet, and I'm gonna count it down. Now I can start to get depths as I go through that pond. I'm looking at that bank, I got edges, flats. I can start to piece all this information together. I'm paying attention to what's on the bottom. Did I hit something? What did I hit? One pond I have has beavers. There's trees and everything else in that dang pond. Oh, okay. It's great information to know. Bass will be hold tight to that in these pressured public ponds. There'll be bass on there. I know there's a big, huge branch down there. It could be a tree. I'm gonna throw a jig over there. I know there'll be bass on there. That was really the biggest way to figure out a pond without a castable sonar. Taking your time, paying attention. Your brain and your rod and that lure are your sonars. When I'm breaking down these pressured public ponds without a sonar, I cast with purpose. I'm trying to figure out everything I can about that pond. I'm not necessarily worried about catching bass at this point. I just want to figure the pond out. Once you figure it out, you never have to do it again. You figured it out. You figured out what's in the pond. Just like when you use a castable sonar. I scanned it. I know the edges. I know the flats. I know what's underneath the water. Next time I go out, now I'm gonna be fishing with purpose. Now I'm gonna be targeting areas based on bass and a season and what they're related to. It makes a difference. You don't need a castable sonar. You just need to put a little time into it, a little patience, and you'll get it done. You should know why you're making every cast, and you're making every cast to understand what's underneath that water. You should know why you're making every cast. And when you're making every cast to understand what's underneath that water. And when you do that, you will be more successful in these public pressured ponds than anybody else. Because the next time you go out, you'll be fishing with purpose. I'm gonna break down some high percentage spots points, coves, pockets, grass edges, deep water access, structure, laydowns, docks, cattails, lily pads. Those are all high percentage spots. It even becomes a higher percentage spots when you can find cattails and vegetation that's closer to deeper water. If you're not fishing those, you're just fishing empty water. I keep on talking about it. Bass don't live and scattered all over a pond. They relate to very specific things. And when you find those specific things, you will be successful. Once you think you found something, slow it down. Pick the area apart. Work the area. Change angles. Very important. When you change angles, you even be able to even further understand what's underneath the water. Pick it apart like a pro. Out, out, out. Made my progression. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to cast across. I'm looking for grass lines. I'm looking for laydowns. I'm looking for flats that come down. A lot of times when I'm trying to figure out a pond, when I come across, a lot of times I'll stop that lure. Does it fall? Okay, I'm on a flat. I stop. Does it fall? Oh yeah, it falls. Okay, now I know it's coming down. Make a couple more, stop, let it fall. Now I can start to figure out that now I have a slope in that pond looking for those edges. That's how you turn guesses into catches. Boom, all day long. Biggin', son. Now everything that I just talked about, that's how you break down a pond without a sonar. The key points is take your time, sacrifice a time or 2 or 3 trips out in that pond to understand what's under. Your brain, your rod, and that lure is going to tell you what's underneath that water. Pay attention to the banks. Pay attention to, if I have a hill that comes down, that's good. What's on the bank is going to continue within that pond. If I have a flat, most likely that's going to be a flat continuing in that water, and eventually they'll come down. It's a great, once you find that little edge, bass are going to hold there. Take your time, you'll be successful, and you only have to do this. I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 35 years. You only have to do this once. Once you do it once, you know those deep pockets, you know those edges, you know what bass are going to be related to. You know what bass are going to be related to in each season of the year. Now you could target. Now we're fishing with purpose. Every cast counts. I'm just not going out there casting all over the place. I'm casting with purpose. That's how you get it done, son. If you really want to break down a pond even further, it's where a castable sonar comes in. Either way, you're going to be successful. Either way, you're going to be more successful at high-pressured public ponds than anybody else. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Take your time. When you learn a pond and what's underneath that water, you will be greatly, greatly, greatly successful. Catching biggins all day long, son. Yes, sir. Drop a comment down below. Do you use sonar or do you go old school and read the water? Love to have the conversation. Drop the comment down below and let's have that conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Yeah, this will definitely help you and it will change the way you fish these high pressured public ponds and you'll be more successful, I guarantee you. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification. I greatly appreciate it. If you're already a subscriber, I greatly appreciate all the support. Don't forget to check out the links all down below. Go check out the merch store. Go check out the membership. Really helps to grow the channel. And I'll catch you next time on Getting It Done Fishing.